Yo, what is up guys? Shinobi here, back again with another video for you guys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another video. I need to turn my VTuber on. We are back again with another video, talking about Bleach Rebirth the Souls. Been a little while since I've made some content, and I saw a little bit of some things floating around on Twitter. And one of the big questions that has been being asked, especially since, the game has come out, has been, was Tamsoft like the right choice for this? Basically, like that's the kind of questions that's been kind of asked, because currently with the state of the game right now, it's not in a terrible state, but it shouldn't be in the state that it's in right now. Like, we haven't had any communication, obviously, with Tamsoft not responding a lot to stuff going on with the game, and on top of that, the fact that we still haven't gotten any communication about, fixing current problems in the game. And then obviously we have to talk about how the launch went, because obviously the launch of this game was just not, it was not it. It was not it. I'm just gonna say that right now. It was not it. So that's kind of the conversation, is mostly, it was Tamsoft the right people for this game? And also, while we're asking this question, did Tamsoft have enough time? That's another question that's also kind of being asked here, is did Tamsoft have enough time to even get this game pushed out, or were they being rushed by Bandai to put this out? Kind of those questions. But either way, if you guys do enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. I'm trying currently right now to branch out and do other content. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm covering a bunch of different topics at the moment. There's like the whole Roblox situation going on right now. You got the whole nonsense going on with, obviously the YouTube child safety nonsense that's going on at the moment. So you got that. There's like a lot of content and topics that I try to cover on here. So if you guys do enjoy that kind of content, or like just anime content also, because I try and cover that as well, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because I purely, for the most part, do cover a lot of anime and gaming on here. That is like the main thing that I cover on here for the most part. But I mean, other than that, let's get this conversation started. And me personally, I think that just based on how the game, like, we're just talking gameplay, right? If we're just talking gameplay and how they made this game, just from a gameplay standpoint, I think they did a good job. I think that, me personally, they did a good job with gameplay. Tamsoft, they didn't, copy the Storm formula. They didn't copy Demon Slayer's way of doing things. They made a whole entire unique playstyle that, as far as we see here, it's like a blend. It's like a mix of a bunch of different games. Tekken, Guilty Gear, you got the burst system and a bunch of other different things, I think they did a good job with that, me personally. I think they did a good job, and I got no complaints about that. I obviously think that certain things in this game, obviously, depending on what characters you can use, could be definitely, fixed, or in my opinion, might need to, be a little bit tempered with. But that's just balancing in general, because there's a bunch of different characters in this game. There's bound to be characters that are going to be stronger than others. Just, I feel like that there's certain things that just need to be tempered down a bit, and then the game would be fine. It'd be in a decent spot. But that's just me. But as far as gameplay and how the combat system works, I think it's a perfect system. Honestly. At least for this style of how Bleach is, and how everybody's got unique stuff, I think it's perfect for what we need to get done here. Me personally. But as far as like how the game came out and everything, I think they needed more time. Keep in mind that Tamsoft hadn't made a project, especially with a fighting game, in a very long time at this point. Like when they made Bleach, like it's been a while since Tamsoft had actually made a actual project and gotten something done. I just completely missed that grab. Holy backstep. But I think, me personally, they needed more time, and I don't think Bandai gave them enough time. I think Bandai was rushing them to get this game out, because obviously, the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War hype was really going crazy, and obviously, with all that hype, Tamsoft, making this game, Bandai's probably thinking in their head, okay, get this out fast so we can get our money. That's what I think, anyways. Me personally, I think that's what probably could have gone down. You know, maybe it was because Tamsoft hadn't made a game in a minute, so, you know, especially a fighting game, because the last fighting game we know of that they worked on was Melty Blood, if I'm correct. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but me personally, I don't think they had enough time. I think they were ready to start messing around with a project like this, but I don't think they had enough time. And because of that, the game came out in a pretty terrible state. Obviously, no ranked was a problem, you know, and there was also the whole nonsense with the PC port, and then on top of that, the balancing was all over the place. So, you know, I don't know. Me personally, I think that the Tamsoft, they needed more time. That's me, though. I think Tamsoft needed more time to get this out. I think they should have, me personally, delayed the game at least a little bit. At least a little bit. That's my thoughts after this game has come out, is I think that they should have delayed this game at least a little bit so that they could have polished what, you know, they need to get fixed. Because there's obviously stuff that need to be fixed with this game when it first came out. Like a game coming out, a fighting game necessarily coming out with no ranked mode is insane in the year of 2025. And once again, we got the Demon Slayer game out right now. We got the Demon Slayer game out right now, and that's the purest example of probably a game done right that we've had it in a long time. Like Sparking Zero couldn't get it done the right way, Bleach couldn't get it done the right way, Naruto, you know, Storm Connections couldn't get it done the right way, but somehow Demon Slayer not only launched with a decent netcode, it launched with ranked, it launched with spectator mode as well, and on top of that, you know, it just like, it didn't have that many issues. Like, obviously, it's probably missing certain things, but as far as what I've seen so far, it's not too many. The only thing I can say right now is that Demon Slayer, as far as the cast goes, it's not like a really huge cast of characters. They added characters, obviously, and then they got skins for stuff like that. But me personally, the only thing that's like, and it's not even a flaw really, if you if you really want to think about it. Like Street Fighter, when it first came out, had less characters. Is the fact that their cast isn't really huge. But the gameplay is good, and me personally, I think Demon Slayer did a really good job of not completely, you know, copying the Storm formula. Like, it's kind of like Storm in a bit, but it's more grounded based on what I've seen. So, really good job. It came with spectator mode. You could fit a lot of people in one room. You know, the ranks there, the online is, you know, decent at best. You know, the netcode's not the greatest on the planet. You know, it's CC2, but you know, they did a good job. They did a really good job. And me personally, I gotta, like, that's what every anime game, at the very least, should have. And even then, I don't know. Now, I don't know for anybody who plays Demon Slayer. Let me know down in the comments. I don't know how the whole rage quitting nonsense is going right now on that game. But from what I'm hearing, it's just like in this game. And it's also just like in any other anime game, which is no big surprise. Like, I don't know how bad it is over there, but I have seen some people rage quitting on, you know, Demon Slayer here, you know, 2. But if I'm correct, Demon Slayer 2, like, their punishing system actually works. Like, if you rage quit in Demon Slayer, I'm pretty sure, isn't there like a whole, what do you call it, if I'm correct? Isn't there like a whole penalty for like a couple hours or something before you're able to hop back on again? Like, we haven't seen anything like that in Bleach. We haven't seen anything like that in, you know, Naruto Storm. You know, that's like a rampant thing over there. We haven't seen anything like that in Storm. I mean, not Storm, Dragon Ball, obviously, Sparking Zero. We haven't seen any actual punishment for rage quitters. And then there's also the whole one and done thing. And honestly, that's whatever. But at the same time, I think that, me personally, that these fighting games, in my opinion, they should, in my opinion, make it to where you have to do a best 2 out of 3 before you move on. And I'm pretty sure there is a game out there, I'm pretty sure if I'm correct, there is a game out there that does that. And specifically the game, if I'm correct, it's Mortal Kombat, where you have to do a best 2 out of 3. But as far as rage quitting, I'm pretty sure even Demon Slayer right now has a better penalty system than Bleach, Dragon Ball, and Naruto Storm right now. So, you know, like, I feel like Demon Slayer right now is like one of the few games right now that are actually doing, you know, the anime games justice, like, as they should be. I feel like it's one of the few, because I haven't really heard or seen a lot of problems outside of maybe people rage quitting, but even then they're actually getting punished for it, versus on this game, where they had the system in place, according to what we're hearing, but we haven't really seen any results, you know. we really haven't seen any results from that. Like, we still have people who will hop on here, rage quit after they lose, and then they're still like top of the leaderboard because, you know, in this game, obviously, you can rematch people over and over again to get points and whatnot. So, you don't, there's not really skill. There's not really, like, the ranking doesn't really, what do you call it? What would you say? The ranking doesn't really match, like, the actual skill of the player. It's more so, the rank is like, you know, okay, how many times can you beat somebody over and over again? Like, it's not really a correct system. Like, I think that this game needs, in my opinion, needs a system that's akin to Mortal Kombat, where they have, where you have to do best 2 out of 3s, and Tekken system where you can only face people a certain amount of times before you have no choice but to move on. Like, no choice. But that's just me. Just wanted to talk about that, though. You know, I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but I feel like Demon Slayer, as far as the game is concerned, they've done a really good job of actually, you know, having a decent game at launch. Like, not a lot of problems that I've seen or heard of, and I've even heard other people talk about it and talk about how the game is polished, and it's in a good state. It's in a good state, and it's how anime games should be right now. We shouldn't be having the issues that we've been having recently. We should not be having the issues that we've been having recently. And holy shit, this Ichigo is going crazy right now. What in the world? Why is the CPU cooking right now? Okay, there we go. But, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. But back to the main topic. You know, so we don't get sidetracked here, because this video is already pretty long. I don't know. Me personally, Tamsoft, I feel like they did a good job for what time they had. But I think they needed more time, and I think they got rushed by Bandai and probably the shareholders to get this out. And one of the big things, in my opinion, is, like, yeah, when the game, like, and I gotta give this to them at the beginning, when the game first came out, they were at least communicating, right? They were at least communicating with us, the players, you know, on the platforms that they could. But then for some reason, the communication died, and that doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Unless somebody works there or whatever, we don't know what's going on and why they just stopped communicating with us. Because as of right now, the only thing we know right now is potentially the chance that we could get Unohana next or any of the DLC, and that's it. We don't know if they're coming back to fix the game or the problems. You know, they did do a rank reset, so we know that they're active. They know they're still there, but that's the only thing we've gotten. It's like a rank reset. But I don't know. Now, on to the next question, obviously, which was also another thing with this video, is, you know, if not Tamsoft, who else could we have on this game? You know, we could probably have, like, Arc System Works probably would be a good one. You know, I think that CC2 would be a good one, as long as... So here's the thing, is I'm thinking in the mindset here, keep that in mind, I'm thinking in the mindset that if the CC2... or any of these other companies were to make this game, that they would make it in the style that we have it now, but with just, like, you know, the stuff that the game needs, like, obviously, spectator mode, ranked, you know, all the other stuff that we've been asking for at launch, and the game at least working properly like it's supposed to. And why is the CPU going crazy right now? Holy shit. I've never seen the CPU move like this before in my life. God damn. But, yeah. CC2 Arc System Works could be a good one. I don't really know a lot of the game studios off the top of my head, but I feel like they could do some stuff, especially with their animations being alright. Tamsoft made some really good animations, but we know that CC2 is basically the king as far as making animations goes. Like, they're basically the king when it comes to this. And you know, as long as me personally, they stick to the formula that Tamsoft, like, I feel like having like a collaboration or something like that. CC2 and Tamsoft making a game together would be insane. Like, a Bleach game like this, it would be frickin' insane. Like, imagine Tamsoft having the gameplay, and then you got, you know, CC2 handling, you know, obviously, you know, the spectator modes and all the other stuff that the game needs, and the animation. Like, don't get me wrong, I love... And hey, Tamsoft, they cooked. They cooked with the animations when it came to this game. But CC2, when it comes to dynamic, you know, movement and all the other stuff, they cooked. They cooked, and now I'll give I'll give Tamsoft credit because once again, this is probably their first fighting game that they've worked on in a long minute. A long minute. But yeah, they got it when it comes to that. But I don't know. Me personally, like the crux of this conversation really comes down to, I think, either one of two things, in my opinion, and that's if people think that Tamsoft needed more time and Bandai was rushing them, or if this was just like, I don't think, Tamsoft was ready to do this kind of thing. Because I don't know. Me personally, I think they needed more time. I think they needed more time, and that they did a decent job with what they had. That's what I think, me personally, though. I think that they could have done something with this game if they had more time to actually polish it and put their time and love into it. Because you could tell that they actually cared about the game. Like, everybody's movesets, the way they did the story and everything like that might be, it might not be looking the visually most crazy thing in the world, but you could tell that they actually put time into it. You could tell that they actually wanted to try when it came to this game. But, once again, I think with the time constraints that they probably had, because they probably had time constraints, especially knowing that it's Bandai, they just couldn't probably get it the way that they wanted it to be, the first time right. And obviously with shareholders also being a thing, you already know that they want their money when they want it, and it's like, okay, where's the game at, kind of thing. So I don't know. Me personally, I think Tamsoft was ready. That's just me. But at the same time, I think they needed more time. I think they needed more time because there's no way that a game in big 2020 freaking 5 is out here coming out with no rank mode, my ad, and on top of that, no spectator, and on top of that, having a lobby with only 2 people. I think they pushed out what they had when they had it ready, and they ran out of time. It's like, Tamsoft was going there doing what they were doing, and then obviously, Bandai, whoever's in charge, the publisher, is like, hey, you guys, you're out of time. You got to get it out there. And that's why we got what we got. Because I feel like the way this game launched, it felt like it was rushed. It felt like this game came out, not complete, obviously. But, like, it felt like, it felt like they were kind of getting rushed to do what they were trying to do here. And that's why we ended up getting what we got. Now, could other publishers get this game and done better? Probably. You never know. Would they have made the same mistake? Who knows? But at the end of the day, my final opinion on this, me personally, my final opinion on this, because I'm not like a game dev or anything crazy, my final opinion on this is I think Tamsoft was ready. They needed more time. But, something was going on in the background that we just didn't know about. It's either that or Tamsoft just wasn't ready. It's one of the two, but I'm leaning towards the latter, that they needed more time. But even then, I don't even know if I should argue that. Because the main problem with that argument is that they had plenty of time to get this game out in practice. If I'm correct, this game had been announced a couple years back. So that's why I'm kind of iffy about the conversation about if Tamsoft was ready or not, because I'm like, they had plenty of months back, or even year. I think this game, they announced it for like a year beforehand. Like, I don't know, man. There has something behind the scenes that, I feel like there's something behind the scenes that really, really screwed this up. Because this game should have been, a lot better, but that's just me. But I don't know. I just want to have a conversation about this because I feel like this game still has a lot of potential in that if they just communicate with their player base, they could do a good job. I feel like if they just communicate with their player base, if they just tell us what's going on, that people would understand why the game is in the state that it is right now, or why did it come out the way that it did. But we will never know until that happens, and as of right now, we have zero communication from them. People are kind of like, falling off the game, which is understandable. Even myself, I've taken a break. And, I don't know, man. I feel like this game, it should be bigger. First Bleach game in like 13 plus years. And, You had everybody hyped for it, had me and like, especially with everybody seeing that Kubo was involved with this game and everything like that. Like, we were expecting a polished and ready product when this came out, and it just wasn't ready. It just wasn't ready, and that's kind of why we're in the state that we're in with right now with this game. But that's just me. Let me know in your guys' in the comment section down below, because I feel like this is an important conversation to have. What you guys think. Was Tamsoft ready to make a game like this? Were they ready to handle an IP like this? Because Bleach is a pretty big IP, and a lot of people were ready to get this game. A lot of Bleach fans, especially, were ready to support this game till the end. And I don't know. You guys can decide all that down in the comments. But I just wanted to start the conversation, or at least try and get some conversation going about this game, because I feel like it needs to be said that me personally, if they do decide to make a sequel to this game, they've got to do it right. And we have to have that conversation. Is Tamsoft the right people for it? Or do we need somebody like a seasoned veteran like CC2 or Arc System Works or other people to get their hands on a game or IP like this so that it could be done justice? Because don't get me wrong, Tamsoft did a decent job of what they had. But at the end of the day, an unpolished product is an unpolished product. And, we got this game completely, unfinished, buggy, PC port completely fucked up. First impressions, especially in games, first impressions are everything, man. It really is. And the way this game launched, it just wasn't it. PC got cooked. PS5 and Xbox were fine, but even then they had issues. And while they were communicating in that point, in time, I feel like that this is issues that should have been talked about, or at least told to the player base beforehand. And honestly, in my opinion, they should have delayed the game a little bit more, because I feel like me and other Bleach fans, or just people who play anime fighters in general, would rather have a polished product than something that's rushed out, like, how Bleach was. Because there's no way this game wasn't rushed out. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think down below. Just want to put this out. I was going to do some ranked matches, but once again, it's taking me even a little while now to find some ranked matches. I think people are kind of hopping off the game a little bit outside of those few dedicated people. So, understandable. But, yeah, no, without further ado, that's pretty much going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave your comments down below, and that's going to be it. Peace off.